The United States of America 5 cents 1963, D. Jefferson Nickel, bearing the inscriptions I in God we trust, liberty, and E pluribus unum, stands as a preserved metallic chapter of American history, minted at the Denver Mint, signified by the D mark, during a period when the nation was in a state of transition, politically, socially, and economically. Yet the coin remained steady in design and purpose, circulating through the hands of millions as a symbol of national unity and everyday commerce. Composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighing 5 grams with a diameter of 21.21 millimeters, it belongs to the long-standing Jefferson Nickel Series, first introduced in 1938 to honor Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, author of the Declaration of Independence, and influential thinker whose vision of liberty and democratic structure helped shape America's foundation. The obverse of the coin presents a noble left-facing portrait of Jefferson, his hair tied back in the colonial style of the late 18th century, symbolizing intellect, leadership, and historical permanence. Across his profile flows the word liberty, accompanied by the date 1963, while the phrase I in God we trust encircles the opposite arc of the portrait, standing as a national affirmation of faith and moral grounding accepted by the nation during turbulent times such as the Cold War and the Civil Rights era. On the reverse shines Monticello, Jefferson's architectural masterpiece in Virginia, his home, laboratory, design project, and personal legacy, resting beneath the Latin motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. A powerful message representing the unification of states, cultures, and ideals into one singular democratic nation. Beneath Monticello are the denomination 5 cents and the issuing authority United States of America, confirming both value and national identity. The year 1963 was the final moment before a massive rise in mintage numbers began in 1964, marking the end of a quieter era in U.S. coinage production, making the 1963 DA bridge between traditional minting and the coming modernization of American currency. Thousands upon thousands entered circulation, passed through general stores, service stations, military bases, diners, bus counters, and pockets of American families, while uncirculated examples preserved in their original mint luster remain as untouched time capsules of the pre-silver crisis years. Most examples are common in circulated grades, but the coin becomes far more desirable to collectors when it shows strong definition in Monticello's steps, the elusive full steps, FS, which demonstrate a sharp and precise strike uncommon for this alloy and period. The coin therefore holds historic weight not for rarity, but for representation, representing the legacy of Jefferson, the confidence of the American currency system, and the lived story of an economy in motion. Each worn edge, each softened detail, reflects a journey through commerce, life, exchange, and time, while pristine specimens shine with the brilliance of 1963 itself. Studying such a coin reveals how even ordinary money is an artifact, a witness to national growth, technological advancement, cultural transformation, and the enduring narrative of a country expressed not in books alone, but in the metal that passes from hand to hand. When examined deeply, the 1963 D. Jefferson nickel becomes more than 5 cents. It becomes a miniature monument, a living history, a national memory preserved in copper-nickel form, connecting the present to the past through design, motto, and meaninged next top. The United States of America 5 cents 1964 coin, known widely as the 1964 Jefferson nickel, stands as a lasting symbol of American currency history, carrying inscriptions such as I in God we trust, liberty, E pluribus unum, and the denomination 5 cents, all contributing to both its monetary and cultural identity. On the obverse side, the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence and the nation's third president, faces left in a calm, dignified pose, a design intended to reflect his strength in leadership and his forward-thinking philosophy. The placement of the word liberty beside his profile, along with the date 1964, represents the continued remembrance of the founding values upon which the United States was built, especially the freedom of thought, rights of individuals, and the balance between government and the people. Above his image is the revered motto, "In God We Trust," a phrase deeply rooted in American tradition and added to coins during periods when national identity and faith were strongly emphasized, symbolizing unity, resilience, and moral foundation. On the reverse side of the coin sits Jefferson's estate, Monticello, with its detailed architectural dome, steps, and pillars, captured in miniature as a representation of Jefferson's intellect, agricultural innovation, and lasting mark on the history of the nation. Under the structure appears E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, a motto expressing that the United States is formed through the unity of many states, cultures, and citizens working together as one body, an idea especially meaningful during the 1960s when the nation was undergoing social change, political transition, and global responsibility. Surrounding Monticello, the inscriptions "United States of America" and 5 cents identify the coin officially as national currency, while its composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel created a durable, silver-colored coin that resisted wear and circulated for decades. The year 1964 was historically significant, marking the final year of traditional high-quantity nickel production before widespread coin shortages and metal value fluctuations led to dramatic changes in U.S. minting policies. Because of heavy public hoarding of silver coins during this time, the U.S. Mint struck billions of 1964 nickels, making them one of the most produced coins in American history, which explains why they are still commonly found today in circulation, jars, and family collections. Despite their abundance, the 1964 nickel remains special to collectors because of die variations, struck details, and rare conditions such as full steps Monticello, which indicate strong strike quality and sharply visible stair details that significantly increase collector value. There are also 1964 and 1964 Denver Mint versions, and numismatists examine them under magnification to identify doubled dies, minting anomalies, planchet flaws, and unusual strike patterns that can transform a common coin into a valuable rarity. This nickel is more than metal. It represents a moment in American history when the country was expanding its influence, advancing in science and technology, navigating civil rights struggles, and redefining itself on the world stage, all while its currency quietly circulated through the hands of everyday workers, soldiers, students, and families. Holding a 1964 nickel today means holding a physical memory of the past, a witness to decades of pocket-to-pocket travel, economic exchange, and national growth, a small but powerful reminder of the ideals liberty, unity, trust, and the American dream. Though millions exist, each coin carries its own story, scratched, worn, or preserved, bearing Jefferson's timeless image and the enduring mottos that reflect the nation's soul. In this way, the 1964 United States of America 5 cents coin is not merely money, but a miniature artifact of culture, history, and identity, a link between generations, a silent storyteller made of copper-nickel alloy, yet heavy with meaning. Next up. The United States of America 5 cents 1979 Jefferson nickel, carrying the familiar inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and "E pluribus unum," represents one of the later, 20th century issues of the Jefferson nickel, a coin rooted in American history both economically and symbolically. Created to circulate widely for everyday use, while also reflecting a long tradition of national identity. On the obverse side, we see the left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, principal author of the Declaration of Independence and third President of the United States, whose philosophy shaped the foundation of American governance, democracy, and civil liberties. The word liberty appears in elegant script, a reminder of Jefferson's most valued principle, freedom, while "In God We Trust" sits firmly at the front, continuing the historical American tradition of acknowledging faith as a part of national character. The date 1979 appears to the right of Jefferson, situating this coin historically during the period of late Cold War tensions, economic struggle, rising inflation, and post-Vietnam transition, when America was shifting politically, socially, and technologically. The reverse, engraved with the majestic image of Monticello, Jefferson's home in Virginia, stands under the national motto "E pluribus unum," meaning out of many, one, a powerful expression of unity among diverse states and people. Beneath the Monticello structure lies the denomination 5 cents and the issuing authority United States of America, boldly declaring the coin's identity and legitimacy. Although the 1979 nickel does not contain silver, being made of a durable copper-nickel alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel, its composition was chosen for longevity, allowing it to survive years of circulation through millions of hands, pockets, and transactions. Most examples are common in numismatic terms, produced in large quantities by the Philadelphia Mint, with no mint mark, and possibly the Denver Mint, with D mint mark, depending on the year's production run, and circulated heavily in everyday American commerce, used for food, transport fares, telephones, newspapers, candy, gasoline payments before digital systems took over, symbolizing an era when coins carried real, transactional significance. A well-preserved specimen in uncirculated or high mint state condition, however, becomes more appealing to collectors because the sharpness of Jefferson's hair, cheekbone, and collar lines reflect the true clarity of the original design, while smooth, clean fields free from scratches or where increase its desirability. Varieties such as full steps on Monticello, where the steps are visible clearly and unbroken, are especially sought after and can elevate the value far above common circulation pieces because they are difficult to find due to the shallow strike characteristics of many minting batches of this era. The motto E pluribus unum ties the coin spiritually to all American currency, reinforcing national unity amid differences, reminding holders that the United States grows from many states, many cultures, many histories, but stands under one constitution. Even though millions of these nickels pass through gas stations, grocery stores, diners, vending machines, parking meters, and school hallways, a 1979 coin preserved in careful condition becomes more than currency. It becomes a witness to history, to the late 1970s economy, political decision-making, cultural evolution, and technological change. The coins like the Jefferson nickel circulate as small but enduring museums of the past. Every scratch or shine marks a story. A paycheck received, a child's first purchase, a war veteran's newspaper, a mother buying food, each transaction a moment. In numismatics, the 1979 nickel is both ordinary and timeless. Ordinary in its abundance, timeless in its symbolism. It reminds us how money is not merely metal, but a reflection of identity, values, leadership, and memory, a piece of history that one can hold, study, preserve, and pass on. For collectors, historians, and admirers of American coinage, the 1979 Jefferson nickel remains a small circle of metal carrying more meaning than its 5-cent value suggests, a preserved echo of the Jeffersonian legacy of liberty, equality, and national unity, which still stands engraved in metal through the words "In God We Trust, Liberty, E Pluribus Unum, United States of America 5 cents, 1979, a sentence of history forged into the very surface of the coin. Next top. The United States of America 5 cents, 1981, D. Jefferson nickel, bearing the inscriptions "In God We Trust, Liberty," and "E Pluribus Unum," stands as part of the long-running Jefferson Nickel Series, a design introduced in 1938 and still recognized generations later as one of the most familiar everyday coins in American commerce. Minted at the Denver Mint, identified by the D mint mark position beside the date, this 1981 issue belongs to a period when the United States was transitioning economically, technologically, and culturally. Early 1980s America was marked by inflation recovery, Cold War escalation, and the rapid rise of electronics, yet the nickel continued to circulate smoothly in vending machines, parking meters, public payphones, and daily transactions, reflecting the rhythm of ordinary life. On the obverse of the coin we see the left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence, third President of the United States, advocate of education, agriculture, liberty, and democratic balance. His portrait is not merely artwork, but a symbolic tribute to American ideals of freedom and governance. Along the left periphery rests the National Trust Declaration, "In God We Trust," a motto deeply rooted in American currency, emphasizing moral foundation and spiritual acknowledgement, while to the right of Jefferson sits the elegant script word "Liberty," followed immediately by the date 1981 and the Denver mint mark, D. anchoring the coin to its specific time and place of production. The reverse of the nickel features Monticello, Jefferson's domed neoclassical Virginia home, rendered in straight architectural detail, standing beneath the Latin motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. A phrase expressing unity among diverse states, cultures, immigrants, histories, and identities. Below the structure lie the denomination 5 cents and the issuing authority United States of America, finalizing the currency's identity and legal status. Struck in a copper-nickel alloy composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, the 1981 D nickel is durable, resistant to corrosion, and intended to last decades in circulation, often appearing today with signs of wear. Smooth Jefferson cheekbones, faint step details on Monticello, contact marks from coin-to-coin friction, all of which tell the story of its long travel through countless exchanges. Despite being common in mintage volume, the 1981 D nickel becomes interesting to collectors when found in uncirculated condition, showing sharp hair detail, clear cheek lines, crisp lettering, and clean fields without scratches. Rarer still are examples with full steps on Monticello, meaning the steps appear fully separated and sharply defined, a strike characteristic seldom seen due to minting pressures of the period. Nickels from this era, though usually valued at face value in circulation grade, transform into small treasures when preserved carefully in coin envelopes, folders, or acrylic capsule holders, protected from humidity, fingerprints, and abrasion. Historically, the 1981 D nickel is a compact reflection of America, its politics, its currency system, its historical memory of Jefferson. It's spread across every grocery counter and gasoline station, every classroom lunch purchase and city sidewalk machine. The coin does not just measure 5 cents, it measures time, carrying micro-stories of its journey, connecting people who never met, worlds that never touched, yet shared the same coin in hand. For historians, numismatists, and everyday observers, this nickel serves as a miniature artifact of the Reagan-era United States, a preserved echo of a nation balancing tradition with modernization. In one reading of its inscriptions, "In God we trust, liberty, e pluribus unum, United States of America 5 cents 1981, D," we can see concentrated American identity, faith, freedom, unity, nation, and denomination pinned together around the legacy of Jefferson. Even though the 1981 D Jefferson nickel is abundant, each well-kept piece carries historical tone, minted through industrial power, yet softened through decades of circulation, becoming at last a collectible relic of everyday America, a mirror of civic belief, political symbolism, and economic continuity. A moment frozen permanently in metal so that future generations may hold it not only as currency, but as history itself. Next top. The United States of America 5 cents 1985, D Jefferson nickel, bearing the inscriptions In God We Trust, Liberty, and E Pluribus Unum, stands as part of a long-running series first introduced in 1938 to honor the third President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, whose influence on the nation's development, through authorship of the Declaration of Independence, expansion of democratic ideas, and vision for an educated republic, made him a central figure in American history. The obverse front of the 1985 D coin features a left-facing portrait of Jefferson, with Liberty and the date 1985 struck to the right side in clean, classic script, accompanied by the small D mint mark, indicating that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the primary minting facilities of the U.S. Mint known for producing large numbers of circulation coinage. Above Jefferson is written In God We Trust, a national motto officially adopted in the mid-20th century, symbolizing the country's cultural identity and spiritual acknowledgement. The reverse back of the coin displays Monticello, Jefferson's historic Virginia estate, a neoclassical architectural masterpiece he personally designed. Below the mansion appears the denomination 5 cents, while at the top arches the Latin phrase E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, referring to the unity of different states forming one nation, and around the bottom rim appears United States of America, confirming the issuing authority. The 1985 D Jefferson nickel is composed of a copper-nickel alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a silver gray, durable surface suitable for daily transactions. More than hundreds of millions of these coins were minted, exact figure commonly estimated around the high 100 million range, which means that in most cases the coin is common in circulation and typical worn examples hold mostly face value. However, collectors appreciate this coin for what it represents, a bridge between modern minting and long-standing American monetary tradition. The value can rise significantly for specimens in uncirculated mint state, especially those with full, sharp details in Jefferson's hair and Monticello steps, known as full steps, FS, designation in numismatics, which indicates exceptional striking quality and is often quite desirable. Well-preserved examples graded MS 65 or higher can attract attention among collectors due to their brilliance, luster, and clean surfaces free of heavy contact marks. Errors from the 1985 D mintage, such as off-center strikes, die cracks, filled die digits, or strong double die features, may also command premium interest depending on rarity and visibility. Historically, the Jefferson nickel continues to serve as a reminder of America's economic consistency, circulating through decades of trade, daily purchases, and the hands of millions of people. In this way, even in everyday 1985, D nickel carries its own subtle legacy, a small metal token of national trust, unity, and governance, holding imagery of a president who shaped the foundations of freedom, paired with mottos that reflect the identity of a nation. Owning such a coin, even if common, connects one to the ongoing story of American currency, where every detail, from lettering to portrait to architecture, preserves history in metallic form, making the 1985 D. Jefferson nickel not merely a piece of change, but a miniature monument to heritage, government, ideals, and the enduring stability of the United States monetary system. And next top. The United States of America 5 cents 1989, P. Jefferson nickel, inscribed with "In God We Trust," liberty, and the Latin motto "E Pluribus Unum," represents the continuing legacy of the Jefferson Nickel Series that began in 1938 and remains one of the most familiar circulating coinage pieces in U.S. history, with the 1989 P issue being a product of the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the small P mint mark positioned to the right of Thomas Jefferson's portrait. The obverse shows Jefferson in a left-facing profile, his facial features, hair details, and collar lines reflecting decades of engraving tradition derived from earlier wartime and post-war dies, while liberty appears in elegant script near the rim, followed by the year 1989, symbolizing its place in the late 20th century American economy. Above the portrait reads the powerful motto "In God We Trust," adopted as a national affirmation of faith and patriotism, reminding every holder of the deep cultural identity intertwined with American currency. The reverse depicts Monticello, Jefferson's self-designed architectural estate in Virginia, a structure known for classical symmetry, domed roofing, balanced columns, and ornamental detail. Underneath it lies the denomination 5 cents, while across the top curves "E Pluribus Unum," Latin for "out of many one," expressing unity among states and citizens. At the base rim is United States of America, establishing national authority and authenticity. The 1989 P nickel is made from a durable copper-nickel alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a silver-gray luster capable of enduring decades of circulation without quickly degrading. The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of these coins, making most circulation-worn examples quite common in today's market, though pristine, high-grade pieces can be appealing to collectors. Uncirculated examples with sharp detail, strong luster, and no contact marks may reach collectible status, especially those with full steps, FS, on the Monticello staircase, a designation awarded to coins that retain exceptionally crisp strike definition. Certain striking anomalies, off-center errors, broad strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, or double die varieties can raise numismatic interest and value for specialists seeking unusual mint imperfections from the late 1980s. Although most 1989 P nickels hold face value in normal condition, the coin retains historical importance as a circulating witness to the pre-digital economy of the United States, exchanged in markets, shops, transport systems, and daily transactions, quietly carrying the image of a founding father who shaped America's political philosophy, authored the Declaration of Independence, and broadened territorial expansion. Holding or collecting a 1989 P nickel is to hold a moment of American continuity, where a small piece of metal becomes a miniature document of national pride, public trust, and economic life, reminding us that even the most common coin is a record of human hands, history, architecture, and the enduring promise expressed in the phrases "In God We Trust" and "E Pluribus Unum," which together embed this modest 5-cent piece within the story of the nation. Next top. The 1990 P United States of America 5 cents Jefferson nickel, marked with the inscriptions "Liberty, in God We Trust, E Pluribus Unum," and "United States of America," represents more than just a small, everyday coin. It embodies history, national identity, artistic tradition, and decades of American economic movement. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the P Mint mark, this coin continued a legacy first introduced in 1938 when the Jefferson nickel replaced the Buffalo nickel that preceded it. On the obverse is the left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, founding father, principal author of the Declaration of Independence, philosopher of liberty, and the third president of the United States. His image on the coin is not just portraiture, but a symbol of intellectual leadership and democratic foundation, surrounded by the motto, "In God We Trust," affirming the nation's cultural and spiritual heritage, while the word liberty flows in script beside the date 1990, as though handwritten in Jefferson's own elegant pen. Turning the coin over reveals the majestic engraving of Monticello, Jefferson's self-designed Virginia home, rendered with steps, columns, and a domed roof that stands as a proud representation of neoclassical architecture and Jefferson's devotion to knowledge, agriculture, and progress. Above Monticello arches the Latin phrase "E Pluribus Unum," meaning "out of many one," a motto that reflects the unification of states, cultures, and beliefs that shaped the United States. Beneath this structure appears the denomination 5 cents, with United States of America encircling it, forming a complete narrative written into metal: the nation, its values, its currency, its leader, and his home. Minted from a 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy, the 1990 P nickel was created for durability, its silvery tone resistant to corrosion and everyday wear. Millions entered daily commerce, passing through pockets, purses, vending machines, grocery counters, school cafeterias, gas stations, and bank registers, quiet little witnesses to American life. Over decades, circulated pieces often developed faint scratches, softening of Jefferson's cheek and hair detail, and slight flattening across Monticello's steps. Yet even a worn example tells a story of movement and hands across time. For collectors, uncirculated examples with strong luster and no contact marks are desirable, especially those exhibiting full steps beneath Monticello, an indication of a well-struck planchet where the architectural detail is crisp, unbroken, and fully separated. Such precision is prized because ordinary business strike coins were produced rapidly and perfect detail was not always achieved. While the 1990 P nickel is not considered rare in general circulation, exceptional high-grade pieces can be notable in numismatic study and can receive premium attention from specialists who examine die states, strike sharpness, and mint variations. Yet the true richness of the 1990 P nickel is not measured only in collector value, but in meaning. Every inscription carries weight. "In God We Trust" expresses national faith. "Liberty" signals the philosophical backbone of the Republic. "E Pluribus Unum" celebrates unity from diversity, and "United States of America" anchors the coin as both an object of economy and identity. Its small size contrasts with its symbolic load. It teaches history silently to anyone who studies it. Jefferson's influence, the architecture of Monticello, the enduring mottos, the minting evolution of U.S. currency from World War II silver alloy changes to modern clad metal stability. Holding a 1990 P Jefferson nickel today is like touching a tiny piece of time. It carries the residue of an era, whether it spent years in commerce or rested unhandled in a collector's drawer. It is a pocket-sized reminder that everyday objects are historical artifacts, that even the most common coin contains artistry, language, and national memory. In one round disc of copper-nickel gleam, we see a nation's founder, a house that stands like a monument to thinking and design, and words that speak to unity, belief, and freedom. What seems ordinary becomes meaningful when observed closely. The metal is the history, the engraving is the story, the circulation is its journey, and the survival into the present makes the 1990 P. Jefferson Nickel a quiet but enduring legacy of the United States of America. Next top. The United States of America 5 cents coin dated 1994. P, commonly known as the Jefferson nickel, stands as a quiet but meaningful representation of American history, economics, minting technology, national philosophy, and everyday circulation during the late 20th century, carrying on its surface a blend of national identity and artistic symbolism that traces back more than half a century to its original introduction in 1938. On the obverse of the 1994 P. nickel, one finds the dignified left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, author of the Declaration of Independence, architect, statesman, and a figure whose vision helped define the early foundations of American democracy. Beside his profile, the familiar national motto, "In God We Trust," is inscribed, representing the country's cultural reliance on spiritual and moral guidance, a motto which became standard on U.S. coinage in the 20th century and continues to symbolize national values and unity. The word liberty, written in a script-style font that echoes Jefferson's own handwriting, reinforces the concept of freedom that forms the core of American ideology, honoring both the principles Jefferson famously defended and the broader narrative of independence that shaped the United States. Beneath or near the portrait lies the date 1994, marking the year the coin was minted, followed by the mint mark P, identifying production at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most historically significant coin-producing institutions in the world. Millions of these coins were struck that year for everyday commerce, passing through the hands of ordinary citizens in stores, banks, gas stations, vending machines, and saving jars. Turning the nickel over reveals the reverse design centered on Monticello, the neoclassical home designed personally by Jefferson in Virginia. Its elegant columned facade and symmetrical geometry not only commemorate Jefferson's life and vision but also stand as a tribute to early American architecture, innovation, and intellectual independence. Above the structure is engraved E pluribus unum, a Latin phrase meaning out of many, one, symbolizing unity among diverse states, peoples, and cultures, and below the building appear the words 5 cents and United States of America, ensuring that the coin's value and national origin are unmistakably communicated. A 1994 P. Jefferson nickel, while common in circulation and compositionally simple, made mostly of copper with a nickel outer layer, carries historical significance as part of the long-running Jefferson series, bridging the late 20th century with earlier chapters of American numismatic tradition. It reminds us how even a small coin silently documents national continuity, economic behavior, leadership remembrance, and shared identity. Although most 1994 P nickels are not considered rare today, especially those that experience normal everyday circulation where they still hold collector interest when found in high-grade, uncirculated condition, proof-like surfaces, or with uncommon minting errors such as off-center strikes, die cracks, planchet flaws, or full-step Monticello strikes. Details that demonstrate the precision of minting and reward careful observation by numismatists. Every scratch, toning pattern, and subtle minting characteristic tells a miniature story. Perhaps this nickel once moved through grocery counters, pocket change collections, coin jars in family homes, or traveled across states carried by travelers, truck drivers, soldiers, or students. Beyond monetary exchange, the coin acts as a durable witness to its time, circulating through years filled with technological advancement, political events, generational culture, shifting markets, and evolving national sentiment. It represents a period where physical money was still dominant in daily transactions, before digital banking and electronic payment methods transformed the everyday economy. The Jefferson nickel itself began decades earlier, replacing the buffalo nickel and preserving stability in American coinage design for generations, proving durable in both composition and symbolism. The continuation of Jefferson's portrait in 1994 demonstrates how certain national icons endure through time, reflecting values that people still recognize and respect. Even the simple weight and metallic feel of the coin, cool and smooth in the hand, connects a person to commerce, history, and civic identity in a tangible way, a reminder that currency next top. The United States of America 5 cents 1996, P. Jefferson nickel stands as a small but remarkably meaningful metal artifact of modern American coinage, representing not only a monetary denomination but also a living thread in the historical fabric of a nation that has changed socially, technologically, politically, and economically across generations. While its circulating currency continued to flow from pocket to pocket, hand to hand, decade to decade. On its obverse shines the left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the nation's third president, founding father, principal author of the Declaration of Independence, and a figure whose philosophical convictions define the character of American liberty. His calm, yet serious gaze reflects ideals of democracy, free thought, educated leadership, and commitment to individual rights. Surrounding his image appears the well-known national motto, "In God We Trust," a phrase that speaks to America's cultural foundation in moral belief, unity, and guidance beyond human authority. To the right of Jefferson's profile rests the word liberty, written in a script style intended to resemble Jefferson's own elegant handwriting, a subtle artistic signature joining past and present, reminding every citizen who touches the coin that freedom, individual dignity, and self-governance are not just political slogans, but living principles preserved in daily life. Beneath this inscription, alongside the date 1996, lies the mint mark P, identifying the Philadelphia Mint as the birthplace of this particular nickel, a facility with a long and significant history, responsible for producing millions of U.S. coins that pass through countless transactions, markets, and memories. The 1996 P nickel, one of the many billions minted during the decade, circulated during a period when the country was transitioning into modern technology, experiencing economic development, increasing globalization, and approaching the digital age, yet still deeply rooted in the physical use of cash in everyday exchanges such as buying groceries, paying bus fare, slipping change into vending machines, collecting coins in jars, and flipping nickels across tabletops in playful gestures. When the coin is turned to its reverse, the viewer meets the timeless image of Monticello, Jefferson's own self-designed home in Virginia, a neoclassical masterpiece symbolizing intellect, architecture, curiosity, and the spirit of invention. Above the building appears E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many, one, a motto expressing unity through diversity, many states forming one country, many cultures blending into one nation, many individual lives contributing to a shared identity. Beneath the building rests the denomination 5 cents, and at the bottom arch United States of America, ensuring this small disc of metal stands clearly declared as both national property and an economic tool with defined value. Although common in circulation and not rare in standard condition in 1996, P nickel still holds collector interest when preserved in brilliant, uncirculated state, with crisp detail across Jefferson's cheek, hair, collar, and Monticello steps. The finest examples showing full steps on Monticello are sought after by numismatists, as step details demonstrate a strong die strike and careful preservation. Some rare examples may display minting errors, off-center strikes, die cracks, double dies, broad strikes, or planchet flaws, characteristics that transform an ordinary nickel into a unique collectible with increasing value depending on grade, visibility, and rarity. This coin is composed of copper and nickel, a durable combination that resists corrosion and allows decades of circulation while retaining identifiable imagery, meaning that many 1996 P nickels still travel today across markets and states, silently performing the same economic work that coins have done for centuries. Imagine its journey, first struck with forceful pressure at the Philadelphia Mint, bagged and shipped through the Federal Reserve System, perhaps entering a bank vault before being handed out as change to a customer. Maybe a student buying a notebook, a traveler crossing a toll gate, a worker purchasing lunch, or a family saving spare change in a jar. Over time, the nickel may have passed through thousands of palms, smooth from circulation, edges rounded by trade, a witness to everyday life of Americans during the 1990s and beyond. In this way, the 1996 Jefferson nickel becomes not just currency, but a tiny historical witness to conversations, purchases, moments, roads, wallets, draw.